Hello, friends. This will be my 4 years as a monastic video. Um, in looking at the last video just today, I saw that I said maybe I would make another video by the time I was 5 years as a monk, when I was off dependence. And enough stuff has happened and enough things have changed since then, which is only about 8 or 9 months ago because I made it late. I made it about 3.5 years in, maybe. But I just finished my 4th Vasa as a Bhikkhu, so this will be my 4 years as a monastic. And looking back at that, was the last video was done in January, right? So 8 months ago, pre-COVID, lots of pre-different things. So, obviously COVID happened, right? We're in 2020. So, all the plans I had to visit all kinds of monasteries and things like that have been essentially postponed indefinitely, right? We'll see what happens. Hopefully in the new year, I'll be able to continue my monastery travels, right? So the biggest new thing that's happened this year because of COVID was I ended up being outside of the monastery, right? For pretty much, I left Bhavana, and I'm not going to go into those details. I wrote an article about it on my blog and all that stuff. So if you want to get into the details, you can read that. But I wrote so I wrote all that information. But so I ended up being away from Bhavana during the lockdowns, and I thought about, well, maybe I'll come back for Vasa, right? I'll come back in July. Things maybe should be, a little less crazy by then. And and I got a message from Bhante Ji, and he said, we're closed down, don't come back to the end of the year. And I decided, since I was going to leave Bhavana next year, as I said, that this was a good time. I don't know when I'd get back to Bhavana. Who knows when this COVID thing is going to end, how long I'm going to be locked down, where I'm going to be, I don't know. I thought, so this was a good time to make that break. And that was the best thing that happened to me this year. Right? To start a new chapter in my life, right? A new chapter in my life as a monastic. My life at Bhavana is over. So now I'm starting to think ahead, right? Now, I said last time how, I found the importance of Kalyanamitas and how I need to help myself, right? That I wanted to start working on myself, develop myself as a monastic, as a practitioner, etc., right? To have these next couple years free. And that's still the case. The plan is still the same. But things are just changing because they're uncertain, right? That's life, right? When I was doing that, when I was doing the last video in January, that was pre-COVID. I was going to go into my seclusion in February, and I was going to come out to, whoa, okay, now there's this global pandemic. Right? Because in my seclusion, no news, don't talk to anybody, I don't do any of that. So basically what has been happening is that my mind has been starting to incline towards the next couple years, right? My past is behind me. Bhavana is behind me. All of that is behind me. My mind is starting to grow happy and content and peaceful, and starting to think about my future, right? And I think that's a good thing. For the Vasa this year, I was invited, Aya Tataloka invited me to go to California to have the Vasa at her hermitage, and Buddhist Insights, Bhante Sudaso and Aya Soma invited me to stay there for Vasa. But my intuition was telling me to go with friends on the farm in West Virginia in the mountains by Bhavana. And that was definitely the best thing for me to do. There's no doubt that was the best thing for me to do. One, because I was in the mountains, right? Two, because I got away from everything and everybody. I didn't have to fly across the country and worry about COVID and, these kind of things. Well, hopefully if IIT wants me to stay at her for Vasa at her Hermitage in 2021, I'll do it. But hopefully things will be a little bit better. But anyway, I was at the farm, and I got to see the office manager, the former office manager of Bhavana, Kathy, and got to do a lot of closure, right? A lot of closure, a lot of thinking, a lot of contemplation, a lot of figuring out things, and it was exactly what I needed. Right, I came out of that Vasa, that 3 months, 2.5 months on a mountaintop. I came out of that much better. My mind was much more joyful. My path was a little bit clearer for me. So it was a good thing. It was good for me to do that. And, one of the things that is happening now is I'm essentially what you call a nomad monk, right? Or a sojourner. I don't have a permanent place to stay right now. That makes things even harder because of COVID, or else because, I have many places where I can go visit. They don't really know me, so you only go for like a week. They don't know is this a crazy guy, or is he a good monk, or we don't know. We're not going to have them come for a month or 2 months. They're going to come for a week, and we're going to see how you do, right? So I have a bunch of different places, people that have invited me, and places where I've asked to come just to visit, that I can go. The problem is COVID is making that a lot harder. So right now I'm just kind of becoming okay with uncertainty, right? Becoming okay with, I don't have a permanent place. I don't know where I'm going to stay. And we'll kind of see how that goes, right? In many ways, I'm kind of like the monks of old, right? Who just wandered from place to place, living the nomad life. That's my life right now. Nomad life. I don't know where I'm going to be. In a week, I'm going to a temple, an Indonesian temple in New York City. I was invited there because they don't have any monastics. They don't have any resident monastics. And, I'm going to be there. I don't know how long. We'll see. And then after that, I don't know. So I'm making some plans for next year, and hopefully I'll get to see visit monasteries and continue my path and learn and all these things. But we'll see what happens. And one of the things that... that came to me in the past couple of months was this. I realized I had this kind of like real strong drive. Like I needed to be around all these senior monastics, and I needed this and I needed that, or else I wouldn't be a good monk, or else I would be untrained, or else, nobody would respect me, and all these kind of things. And the pandemic and COVID in this year has kind of taught me to kind of let go of that, right? To let the journey shape me. And that's where I'm at right now. Like obviously I'm gonna still try to learn and learn as much as I can and be with as many senior monastics that I can, and different communities, and visiting and being able to learn. That's definitely part of my path at this point. But I'm less attached to it has to be done, and I have to go here and I have to go there and all these kind of things. I gotta trust in karma. Right? I gotta just let the path guide me. Opportunities will arise, and I can examine and accept those opportunities. And sometimes maybe I'll have to make my own opportunities. I don't know. But that's where I'm at, just living the nomad life. I don't have any particular place. As it might be obvious, I'm not in a monastery right now. Currently, I'm home visiting family before I go to the temple in New York City. And I just spent a month at Buddhist Insights Empty Cloud Monastery with Bhante Saraso and Ayasoma. And so this is my life right now. And some places I'm going to have internet that I'm going to be able to do my weekly sessions and do some recordings and things like this, and some places I won't. So this is how it's going to be for a while. And one of the things that I probably haven't mentioned in a long time, if at all, on my videos, was that I've had this kind of calling, this intuition, to go to Colorado, and this was something that I had even before I went to Bhavana to become a monk. Like in the early days when I had just gone to Bhavana, my mindset was I'll be at Bhavana 8 years to 10 years maybe, and then I'll go off and start my own place probably in Colorado. So there's always been this kind of intention and intuition that that's where I'd be going. And in the early days, I would talk to a lot of really long-term friends of Bhavana and of Bhante and then when I would tell them about Colorado, they'd be like, well what about Bhavana, right? Because there's always this kind of like, what's going to happen to Bhavana after Bhante goes, and who's going to take over, and all these kind of things. And so that kind of led me down this path of kind of taking on the burden of Bhavana, right? And at one point, for a couple of years, Bhante I was going to be the successor, I was going to take over, and all these kind of things, and I'm really happy that didn't happen. To be honest with you, I'm really happy that didn't happen, because that wasn't my path. This is where I'm trusting karma, right? Like I knew, because of my respect for Bhante and because of my love for Bhavana, I gave up what I knew was my intuition to do what was needed to be done for Bhavana, right? And life turned out in such a way, and here I'm free from Bhavana, I'm free of Bhavana, there's no more responsibilities, attachments to that place, and I can look to the future, right? And the future, as far as I can see, is, in the next couple of years, to move out to Colorado, to set up a base, somewhere, set up some support, and then eventually, maybe start my own place and, ordain people and build a monastery there, build a community, right? And there's a bunch of different reasons. Obviously, there's, when you say it's my intuition, I've had this intuition, people will say, oh, you don't trust intuitions. But interestingly enough, I had the same intuition about West Virginia. 10 years ago this week, I went to West Virginia for the first time. I just felt drawn there. I don't know why. It was a year before I even heard of Bhavana. Right? A year later, there's this wonderful place, and you can go learn the Dhamma, and it's in West Virginia. Whoa, right? So my long-term goal, as in like the next 3-4 years, is to go out to Colorado. And interestingly enough, karma, life, universe, whatever you want to call it, things kind of are starting to move that way. Even just, giving my I think there's noise. Anyway, so even just, kind of giving my intention out, telling people that this is my intuition to go to Colorado, has balls have been rolling already. People are connecting me with people in Colorado. I'm just randomly meeting people who are from Colorado. Connections are being made. I'm going to probably go out there next year to kind of just do my first visit. I've never been to Colorado. I've always wanted, since I was a kid, I've always wanted to go to Colorado. And, since I was young, I was going to retire to the Rockies. I was going to retire to the Northwest, or to, wherever the Rockies are. That was my dream. I was not going to, I had no plans of retiring in New Jersey. So, this has kind of always been near and dear to my heart. And this is the plan. I mean, I don't know if Colorado is going to work out. Maybe if Colorado doesn't work out, I go to Vermont, or who knows where I end up, right? All's uncertain. But my intuition says, and things are kind of working out at the very least, that I am, probably going to end up in Colorado. And I think there's actually really good reasons for that, besides like, and for lack of a better term, business sense, right, or Dhamma sense. I think it's a place in the center of the country, which is important because there's lots of monastics and monasteries on the east and west coast, but there's not that much in the middle. And it has a good international airport. It's kind of a good location, I think, for for a retreat center, monastery, city center, whatever. I think that it's going to be a good place. I don't know. We'll have to see what happens. But so now I'm thinking about this 5-year plan, right? Like what is the next 5 years going to look like? And the plan of being free, being able to, if I get offered to go here, if an opportunity shows up, to go in the jungle somewhere for a couple of months or go stay here for a couple of months, I can be free to take that, right? There's no burdens, there's no responsibilities, there's nothing saying, well, I kind of have to be back by January or anything like that. That's done. Right? So I'm totally free at this point. And it's scary, but it's also very nice. I really kind of like it. Right? That, uncertainty is scary, without a doubt. I don't know, where am I going to stay? What am I going to do? Who's this? The last couple of weeks, I kind of went through that phase of like thinking, okay, who invited me? Who said that I could go visit their place? And when am I going to go? Like trying to fill my weeks and my months next year, right? But I'm starting to get kind of past that initial fear to just kind of, this is nice, right? I don't know. We'll see what happens, right? This is, this, I don't know if I've said it on the stream at all, but when I got to spend a couple of days with Ajahn Brahm, and I asked him about, like, because he came off the airline, he came just with his monk bag, right? And he's just, there's no supplies, no nothing, and I would talk to him about these things and ask him, and he looked at me and he said, trusting karma to provide, right? And that hit me, and that's been something that actually I've been really working on, right? Trusting karma to provide, right? Trust in my, my good deeds, right? My good actions, my good intentions, and of the past and the present to help me so that I can get what I need. Maybe not always what I want, just like that old song goes, right? You can't always get what you want, but sometimes you get what you need, right? I don't know what I need, maybe. I think I do. But this is life. This is this interesting thing of life. So you don't know how it's going to turn out. So that's the plan, I believe. That's the plan for me. And there is also one of the things, last video for the 3-year, I talked about dependence. And technically for the first 5 years, you're supposed to be independent of a senior monastic. And currently right now, I'm not. There are exceptions. I was going to think that I was going to be able to stay a little bit more time at Buddhist Insights, but that didn't kind of work out. They're going in different directions, and we just discussed that it's not going to work out, that me being there long term. It doesn't make sense for either of us, really. And so, I don't have anybody that I'm living with that I can be under dependence on. And, if you're wandering, if you're kind of living by yourself or whatever, then that's okay. That's part of the things. And if I actually do get to, go to a place and I stay there for a long period of time and I can be into dependence of a senior monastic, then I can do that. So for the next year, I just turned 4 Vasa, right? And so until next Vasa, until next year, if I'm able to be with a senior monastic, then I can be in dependence. And if I'm not, then I'm living free of dependence. So that's kind of how that's working. There are exemptions, and which is good to know. This is why, if you're a monastic, you should always know the Vinaya, read the Vinaya over and over and over and over and over again, and know, right? So then you can know if you're really doing something wrong or if you're not, right? There are exceptions. So let's see. I covered COVID, and I covered all the stuff that happened since then. I covered my nomad life. I covered Colorado. You know, I'm thinking about maybe next year, if all things work out, maybe I can spend like 4 or 5 months out in California, right? And I go there, maybe I find some place that I can quarantine for a couple of weeks, get the tests. This is another thing I just found out recently, that tests are becoming more available, which is good. And then, you know, hopefully once I'm in California and I did my quarantine, and then it'll be easier for me to go to like Abhayagiri and Wat Metta and different places, you know, just to you know, I have standing invites with you know, some of the Bhikkhunis in different places, which is a good thing, you know, to it's okay living by yourself as a monastic, but I like to be around other monastics. I really do. Just like I said last time in the third year one, I need good Kalyanamitas to help me, right? To help me to become awakened, right? I need good Kalyanamitas to watch my back, to call out my BS that I can't see for myself. I'm pretty good. If you practice long enough, you're pretty good at knowing your own BS, but we all have blind spots, right? So I'm hopefully looking forward to being around a lot of monastics in the next year, pending COVID. As I'm speaking right now, supposedly there's a second wave coming. I don't know. Who knows what's going to happen? But this is the way it is. And, you know, oh yeah, the other thing is I had a gentleman who stayed at Bhavana last year for about a month, 2 months, and he you know, hiked the Appalachian Trail, and he talked to me, and he said, you know, there's Christian chaplains that are on the trail, and I really think there should be Buddhist monks on the trail. And so that kind of has expanded, and we're trying to, right now we're kind of putting together a group that's, you know, going to be able to support monastics to go out on the Appalachian Trail. You know, we don't know a lot of the specifics right now, but this is what we're going to do. Try to get monks out on the trail. I think I'm going to be the first guinea pig. I just spoke today with a Christian chaplain who's in Tennessee, and he told me about his stories of, you know, he's walked the trail multiple times and things like that. So I think that's going to be another good thing. And I'm thinking maybe I spend most of March on the trail somewhere. I don't know. Right, so there's lots of good stuff, lots of interesting opportunities coming up, and I'm looking forward to the future. I feel, you know, you can maybe tell, like I seemed a little, in my third year, I seemed a little kind of like this, and I feel much more lighthearted, much more boisterous, much more happy. Right, so it's good things are ahead, I think. You know, I'm looking forward to the future and see what happens, you know, with my plans, and who knows where I'll end up. When I do my 5 years as a monk, who knows if I'll be alive. Obviously, we should always make sure we know that we could die at any moment. So who knows where I'll be when I make my next video. I don't know. I think that's enough. I don't have any other things that I can think of to talk about. So that was 4 years as a monastic. And, you know, other than the normal videos I do on the channel, it'll be another year before I do the next video for Journey into Homelessness, which will be 5 years. So until next time, friends, Sukhi Hotu, may you be happy. Practice well and be well.